Monica's fingers trembled as she set down her phone. The screen still glowed with her mother's name, a beacon of unwelcome memories. She took a deep breath, steadying herself against the kitchen counter. Mama always said I was too dark, too much like him, like my father, the man who loved me, the man she left for a lighter shade of life. Monica's voice, though soft, carried the weight of years of unspoken pain. Across the table, Matthew, her fiancé, reached for her hand, his brow furrowed with concern. "She called again, didn't she?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Monica nodded, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. "She wants to move in? Her, Richard, and Melissa. After everything." Matthew's grip tightened. "You don't owe them anything, Monica. Not after what they put you through." "I know." Monica sighed, sinking into a chair. "But it's not that simple. They're still family." The word hung in the air, heavy with contradiction. Monica's mind drifted back, memories flooding in like a bitter tide. She was 6 years old, standing in front of a mirror, her mother's disapproving gaze boring into her. "Monica, come here," Deborah called, her voice sharp. "Look at your cousin Tanya. See how pretty her light skin is? If only you hadn't taken after your father so much." Young Monica's lower lip trembled. "But Daddy says I'm beautiful, just the way I am." Deborah's eyes flashed. "Your father doesn't know what it takes to succeed in this world. Trust me, baby. The lighter you are, the easier life will be." The scene shifted. Monica, now 10, cowered in a corner as her mother's voice rang out, shrill and angry. "David, I can't do this anymore. Look at her. Do you know how people look at us? At me? With my dark-skinned child?" Her father's deep voice rumbled in response. "Deborah, she's our daughter. How can you dash?" "No." Deborah cut him off. "I'm leaving. I've met someone who understands, someone who can give me the life I deserve." The slamming door echoed through Monica's memory, followed by the gentle touch of her father's hand on her shoulder. "It's not your fault, baby girl," he whispered, his own voice choked with emotion. "You are perfect just as you are." Matthew's voice pulled Monica back to the present. "Hey," he said softly, "where'd you go just now?" Monica blinked, focusing on her fiancé's concerned face. "Sorry, I was just remembering. Want to talk about it?" Monica hesitated, then nodded. It's just hearing her voice again. It brought back all those times she made me feel like I wasn't enough, like my skin was some kind of defect. Matthew's jaw clenched. "That's bullshit, and you know it. Your mom's the one with the problem, not you." "I know that now," Monica said, a hint of steel creeping into her voice. "But back then, it was all I knew. And then she left us for Richard. Rich, white Richard with his country club membership and his acceptable complexion." She stood up, pacing the kitchen. "And now they want my help? After everything? After Melissa's wedding, when Mom told me not to come because I'd clash with the color scheme?" Matthew whistled low. "Jesus, I forgot about that. What did your sister say?" Monica laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Melissa? She agreed with Mom, of course. Said it would ruin her perfect day if I showed up. So why are you even considering helping them?" Matthew asked, his voice gentle but probing. Monica paused, her hand on the refrigerator door. "I don't know," she admitted. "Part of me wants to tell them to go to hell. But another part still craves their approval." Matthew finished for her. Monica nodded, shame coloring her cheeks. "Is that pathetic?" Matthew stood, crossing the room to wrap her in his arms. "No, baby. It's human. But you don't need their approval. You've built an amazing life without them. You're brilliant, successful, and about to marry the luckiest man in the world." He grinned, lightening the mood. Monica managed a small smile. "I know, and I love the life we've built. I thought I was past all this, you know?" "Healing isn't linear," Matthew reminded her. "But whatever you decide, I'm here. We face this together." Monica leaned into his embrace, drawing strength from his unwavering support. The phone on the counter buzzed again, her mother's name flashing on the screen. Monica stared at it, torn between the urge to answer and the desire to let it ring into oblivion. "What do you want to do?" Matthew asked softly. Monica took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "I think I think it's time I had a long, overdue conversation with my mother. Monica stepped into the sprawling foyer of her mother's new home, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and unease. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across marble floors, while priceless artwork adorned the walls. It was a far cry from the modest apartment she'd shared with her father. Monica, darling, Deborah's voice rang out, saccharine sweet. Come, let me show you your new room. Trailing behind her mother, Monica couldn't shake the feeling of being a misplaced object in this opulent setting. The room Deborah led her to was spacious, with a canopy bed and silk curtains, but it felt cold, impersonal. Isn't it lovely? Deborah gushed. Richard spero no pense. Monica nodded mutely, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns on the bedspread. Now, Deborah continued, her tone shifting, we'll need to do something about your hair. And I've scheduled an appointment with Dr. Winters. He has some wonderful treatments that might help. Even out your complexion. Monica's head snapped up. What's wrong with my complexion? Deborah sighed, exasperated. Monica, dear, we talked about this. In this world, presentation is everything. You want to fit in here? Don't you? Before Monica could respond, a booming voice echoed from downstairs. Deborah, where are you, sweetheart? Coming, Richard. Deborah called back, her demeanor instantly transforming. She turned to Monica, her smile tight. Remember what I said. We have an image to maintain here. As the days passed, Monica felt increasingly like a prop in her mother's carefully curated life. At dinner parties, she was trotted out like an exotic curiosity, Deborah's hand on her shoulder a constant, silent warning. And this is Monica, Deborah would say, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. She's adjusting so well to her new life here, aren't you, dear? Monica would nod, forcing a smile, all too aware of the assessing gazes of Deborah's new friends. Their eyes would flit from her dark skin to Deborah's lighter complexion, curiosity and judgment barely concealed. One afternoon, as Monica sat by the pool, she overheard a conversation that made her blood run cold. Deborah, darling, a woman's voice drawled, I simply must know. How do you manage with? Well, you know, there was a meaningful pause. It must be so difficult, having such a noticeable reminder of your past. Deborah's laugh was brittle. Oh, Constance, you know me. I'm making the best of it. Besides, Richard is so understanding. He's even looking into some experimental treatments that might help her blend in better. Monica's hands clenched, nails digging into her palms. She stood abruptly, water cascading off her as she stormed towards the house. Monica, Deborah called after her. Where are you going? We have guests. Inside, Monica ran into Richard in the hallway. His eyes raked over her, a mixture of disdain and something else, something that made her skin crawl. Well, he smirked. If it isn't our little addition to the family. Enjoying the pool. Monica tried to sidestep him, but he blocked her path. You know, he continued, his voice low, your mother might be fooling herself, but I see right through you. You don't belong here, girl. And you never will. Something in Monica snapped. Years of pent-up anger and hurt came rushing to the surface. You're right, she spat. I don't belong in this house full of shallow, prejudiced people who care more about appearances than actual human beings. Richard's face contorted with rage. His hand shot out, the slap echoing in the quiet hallway. Monica stumbled back, her cheeks stinging. Richard! Deborah's horrified gasp came from behind them. What are you doing? But Monica didn't wait to hear more. She ran, tears blurring her vision, until she reached her room. Slamming the door, she collapsed onto the bed, her body shaking with sobs. Later that night, a soft knock came at her door. Deborah entered, her face a mask of concern. Monica, sweetie, are you all right? Richard, he didn't mean it. He's under a lot of stress at work. Monica stared at her mother in disbelief. He hit me, Mom, and you're making excuses for him. Deborah's expression hardened. Now, Monica, let's not blow this out of proportion. Richard has given us a wonderful life here. The least you could do is show some gratitude. As her mother's words sank in, Monica felt something inside her harden. She realized then that no amount of wealth or luxury could make up for the love and acceptance she craved. In that moment, Surrounded by opulence but utterly alone, Monica made a silent vow. She would endure, she would survive, and one day, she would escape this gilded cage and build a life where she was valued for who she was, not the color of her skin. The shrill cry of a newborn pierced the air of the hospital room. Monica, now 14, stood in the doorway, watching as her mother cradled the tiny bundle. Deborah's face glowed with a joy Monica had never seen directed at her. "Come meet your sister, Monica," Richard called, his voice uncharacteristically warm. "Isn't she beautiful?" Monica approached cautiously, peering at the infant. Melissa's skin was several shades lighter than her own, her wispy hair already showing signs of loose curls. "She's perfect," Deborah cooed, her eyes never leaving the baby. "Our little angel." Monica felt a twinge in her chest. Hope mingled with apprehension. Maybe this new addition would bring them closer as a family. Maybe now. But as the weeks passed, Monica's hopes faded. Melissa became the center of their universe, while Monica felt increasingly like an outsider in her own home. One afternoon, Monica returned from school to find Deborah fussing over Melissa in the living room. "Mom, I got an A on my history project," Monica announced, holding out her paper. Deborah barely glanced up. "That's nice, dear." "Melissa, look at the camera." "Richard, are you getting this?" Richard lowered his camcorder, frowning. "Monica, you're in the shot. Move aside, will you?" Monica retreated to her room, the sting of rejection all too familiar. Later that evening, she overheard Deborah on the phone. "Oh, you should see Melissa. She's growing so fast. She looks just like a little porcelain doll. Nothing like, well, you know, it's such a relief, honestly." Monica's hands clenched into fists, nails biting into her palms. She grabbed her phone, dialing a number she knew by heart. "Daddy," she whispered when he answered. "Can I come stay with you this weekend?" David's warm voice washed over her. "Of course, baby girl. You know you're always welcome here." That weekend, sitting in her father's modest apartment, Monica felt the tension leave her body for the first time in months. "How are things at your mother's?" David asked gently, setting a mug of hot chocolate in front of her. Monica shrugged, staring into the steaming liquid. "It's fine. Melissa takes up a lot of their time." David's eyes softened with understanding. "And how does that make you feel?" The dam broke. Words poured out of Monica. The constant comparisons, the subtle put-downs, the way Deborah doted on Melissa while barely acknowledging her existence. David listened, his face a mix of sorrow and anger. When Monica finished, he took her hands in his. "Monica, listen to me," he said, his voice firm but gentle. "You are beautiful, intelligent, and worthy of love. Don't ever let anyone make you feel less than that. Not even your mother." Tears welled in Monica's eyes. "But why doesn't she see that? Why am I never enough?" David sighed heavily. "Your mother. She's fighting her own battles, ones that started long before you were born. But that doesn't excuse her behavior. You deserve better, baby girl." As the years passed, the divide in the household grew. Melissa blossomed into a precocious child, doted on by Deborah and Richard. Monica, in contrast, felt increasingly invisible. One day, when Melissa was 5 and Monica 17, they sat in the backyard. Monica was attempting to braid her sister's hair, a rare moment of connection. "Ow!" Melissa whined. "You're doing it wrong. Mommy does it better." Monica sighed, trying to keep her patience. "I'm still learning, Mel. Give me a chance." Melissa squirmed away. "No, I want Mommy to do it." "Mommy!" Deborah appeared moments later, scooping Melissa into her arms. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "Monica was hurting me." Melissa pouted, burying her face in Deborah's neck. Deborah's eyes flashed with anger. "Monica, what were you thinking?" "I wasn't hurting her, Mom," Monica protested. "I was just trying to braid her hair." "Well, clearly you're not capable of that," Deborah snapped. "Stay away from your sister if you can't be gentle." As Deborah carried Melissa inside, Monica felt something inside her harden. She realized then that no matter what she did, she would always be the outsider in this family. That night, Monica called her father again. "Dad," she said, her voice trembling but determined. "I can't do this anymore. I want to come live with you." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then David's voice, filled with a mixture of sadness and relief. "Okay, baby girl. We'll make it happen. You're not alone in this, I promise." As Monica hung up the phone, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in years, she felt a glimmer of hope. She was choosing herself, choosing a life where she could be valued for who she was. The thought both terrified and exhilarated her. Monica stood in the driveway of her mother's mansion, a single suitcase at her feet. The enormity of what she was about to do hit her like a wave, threatening to drown her resolve. "Monica!" Deborah's shrill voice cut through the air. "What do you think you're doing?" Monica took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I'm leaving, Mom. I'm going to live with Dad." Deborah's face contorted with a mixture of shock and anger. "You ungrateful child. After everything we've given you." "Given me?" Monica's voice cracked. "You've given me nothing but shame and pain since the day Melissa was born." Richard appeared in the doorway, his face thunderous. "You watch your tone, young lady. Your mother has sacrificed everything for you." Monica laughed bitterly. "Sacrificed? Is that what you call constant criticism and emotional neglect?" Melissa peeked out from behind Richard's legs, her eyes wide with confusion. "Moni, where are you going?" For a moment, Monica's resolve wavered. But then she remembered all the times Melissa had been used as a weapon against her, a constant reminder of what she could never be in her mother's eyes. "I'm sorry, Mel," Monica said softly, "but I can't stay here anymore." Deborah's face hardened. "Fine, go. But don't think you can come crawling back when you realize how good you had it here." As if on cue, David's car pulled up. Monica grabbed her suitcase, fighting back tears as she walked away from the only home she'd known for years. The transition to life with her father was far from smooth. David's apartment, while filled with love, was a far cry from the luxury Monica had grown accustomed to. The neighborhood was rougher, the school more challenging. On her first day at the new school, Monica felt like a fish out of water. Her designer clothes, remnants of her life with Deborah and Richard, stood out starkly against the sea of thrift store finds and hand-me-downs. Well, a girl sneered as Monica walked past. "Looks like we got ourselves a little princess. What's the matter, honey? Mommy and Daddy kick you out of the castle?" Monica flushed, ducking her head as laughter erupted around her. She hurried to her first class, fighting back tears. At lunch, she sat alone, picking at her food. A shadow fell across her table, and she looked up to see a tall, lanky boy with kind eyes. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. Monica shrugged, and he plopped down across from her. "I'm Marcus," he said, offering a hand. "You're new here, right?" Monica nodded, shaking his hand tentatively. "Monica." "Well, Monica," Marcus grinned, "welcome to the jungle. Don't let those hyenas get to you. They're all bark and no bite." For the first time that day, Monica felt a small smile tugging at her lips. As the weeks passed, Monica slowly began to find her footing. She threw herself into her studies, determined to prove to herself and to Deborah that she could succeed on her own terms. One evening, as she sat at the kitchen table surrounded by textbooks, David placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're working yourself too hard, baby girl," he said softly. Monica looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and pain. "I have to, Dad. I have to show them that I'm worth something." David's face crumpled. He pulled up a chair, taking Monica's hands in his. "Listen to me, Monica. Your worth isn't determined by your grades, or your clothes, or the color of your skin. You're valuable simply because you exist. You are loved because you are you." Tears spilled down Monica's cheeks. "Then why wasn't that enough for Mom?" David sighed heavily. "Your mother, she's fighting battles we can't see. But her inability to see your worth doesn't diminish it. You hear me?" Monica nodded, wiping her eyes. "I hear you, Dad." As she lay in bed that night, Monica's phone buzzed with a text. It was from Melissa. "I miss you. When are you coming home?" Monica stared at the screen, a lump forming in her throat. She typed out a response, then deleted it. After a moment's hesitation, she turned off her phone and rolled over. For the first time since she'd left, Monica realized that home wasn't a place. It wasn't the mansion with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Home was here, in this small apartment, with a father who saw her, truly saw her, for who she was. As she drifted off to sleep, Monica felt a small spark of hope ignite in her chest. The road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in years, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Monica hunched over her textbooks, the dim light of her desk lamp casting long shadows across her room. The clock on her nightstand blinked 2:37 a.m., but she barely noticed. Her eyes burned with exhaustion, yet she pressed on, determined to ace her upcoming AP exams. A soft knock at her door startled her. David peeked in, concern etched on his face. "Baby girl, you're still up? You need to rest." Monica shook her head stubbornly. "I can't, Dad. These exams are everything. If I don't get top scores, I won't have a shot at the scholarship." David sighed, entering the room and placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Monica, you're brilliant, but you can't keep pushing yourself like this. It's not healthy." "I have to," Monica insisted, her voice cracking. "I have to prove them wrong. I have to show Mom and Richard that I'm worth something." David's face softened with understanding and pain. "You have nothing to prove to them, sweetheart. Your worth isn't measured by test scores or scholarships." Monica felt tears welling up, but she blinked them back furiously. "Maybe not, but this is my ticket out, Dad. My chance to build a life where I'm not judged by the color of my skin." David pulled her into a tight hug, and for a moment, Monica allowed herself to be comforted. But as soon as he left, she turned back to her books, more determined than ever. The next day at school, Monica's exhaustion was evident. As she stumbled through the hallway, a voice called out to her. "Hey, Monica, wait up." She turned to see Christina, a girl from her AP literature class, jogging to catch up. Christina was one of the few people at school who had been consistently kind to Monica since her arrival. "You look like you could use this," Christina said, offering Monica a steaming cup of coffee. Monica accepted it gratefully. "Thanks." Late nights studying. Christina nodded knowingly. "The scholarship application, right? I'm working on mine too. Want to study together after school?" For a moment, Monica hesitated. She was used to going it alone, wary of letting anyone get too close. But something in Christina's warm smile made her nod. "Yeah, that'd be great." As the weeks passed, Monica found herself opening up to Christina. They spent hours studying together, pushing each other to excel. For the first time since leaving her mother's house, Monica felt like she had a true friend. One afternoon, as they pored over practice essays in the library, Christina broached a sensitive subject. "So, I couldn't help but notice. You never talk about your mom. Is everything okay?" Monica tensed, her pen freezing mid-sentence. After a long moment, she sighed. "It's complicated. My mom, she has some issues with the way I look. My skin color specifically." Christina's eyes widened in surprise. "Seriously? But you're gorgeous." Monica felt a flush of pleasure at the compliment, quickly followed by a wave of shame for caring so much about appearance, just as her mother had taught her. "Thanks," she mumbled. "But to my mom, I was never light enough, never good enough." Christina reached out, squeezing Monica's hand. "That's her loss then, because from where I'm sitting, you're pretty amazing." Tears pricked at Monica's eyes, but for once, they weren't tears of sadness or frustration. She felt seen, truly seen, for perhaps the first time in her life. The day of the scholarship announcement arrived, and Monica's stomach was in knots. She sat in the auditorium, sandwiched between David and Christina, both radiating supportive energy. As the principal took the stage, Monica held her breath. "And the recipient of this year's full-ride scholarship to Stanford University is Monica Johnson." The auditorium erupted in applause. David whooped with joy, pulling Monica into a bear hug. Christina squealed, jumping up and down. As Monica made her way to the stage, her legs shaking, she caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. Melissa stood at the back of the auditorium, her expression unreadable. For a moment, their eyes locked, and Monica felt a surge of conflicting emotions, triumph, sadness, and a lingering desire for approval she couldn't quite shake. But as she accepted her award, Basking in the glow of her achievement, Monica realized something profound. She had done this on her own terms, without compromising who she was. She had proven her worth, not to her mother or Richard, but to herself. As she returned to her seat, diploma in hand, Monica felt a sense of possibility unfurling within her. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, she truly believed in her ability to forge her own path. The shadows of her past were receding, and a brighter future beckoned. Monica's heart raced as she approached the bustling campus coffee shop. Through the window, she caught a glimpse of Melissa, her half-sister's perfectly coiffed hair and designer outfit a stark reminder of the world she'd left behind. Taking a deep breath, Monica pushed open the door. Melissa's eyes lit up with recognition, a practiced smile spreading across her face. "Monica!" Melissa exclaimed, rising to air-kiss her cheeks. "It's been far too long." Monica returned the gesture awkwardly, acutely aware of the differences between them. "Hey Mel, thanks for meeting me." As they settled into their seats, an uncomfortable silence stretched between them. Monica fidgeted with her cup, searching for words. "So," Melissa began, her tone artificially bright. "Stanford, huh?" Mom and Richard were surprised when they heard. Monica's jaw clenched at the mention of her mother and stepfather. "I'm sure they were," she replied coolly. Melissa's smile faltered slightly. "Look, Monica, I know things haven't been easy between us, but I'm trying here. Can't we start fresh?" For a moment, hope flickered in Monica's chest. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to rebuild their relationship. "I'd like that," Monica said softly. As they talked, Monica found herself relaxing. Melissa shared stories of her own college experiences, and for a while, it felt almost like they were normal sisters catching up. But then Melissa's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her eyes widening. "Oh my God, Monica, I totally forgot. There's this amazing party tonight. You have to come." Monica hesitated. "I don't know, Mel. I have a big exam tomorrow." Melissa waved her hand dismissively. "Come on, live a little. You can't spend all your time studying. Please? For me?" Against her better judgment, Monica found herself agreeing. Hours later, Monica stood awkwardly in a crowded frat house, feeling out of place among the sea of privileged, predominantly white faces. Melissa flitted from group to group, clearly in her element. "Monica," Melissa called, dragging over a tall, handsome guy. "This is Matthew. He's pre-law too." Matthew smiled warmly, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you, Monica. Melissa's told me a lot about you." As they talked, Monica found herself drawn to Matthew's intelligence and genuine interest in her thoughts. For the first time that night, she felt truly seen. But as the party wore on, Monica noticed Melissa hovering nearby, her eyes fixed on Matthew. A familiar knot of unease formed in her stomach. "I should go," Monica said abruptly. "It's late, and I have that exam." Matthew looked disappointed. "Already? Can I at least get your number?" Before Monica could respond, Melissa interjected. "Oh, don't worry about that. I'll make sure you two connect again." As Monica left, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few weeks, Monica and Matthew grew closer. They met for coffee, studied together, and shared long conversations about their dreams and fears. For the first time, Monica felt truly understood by someone outside her small circle of support. But Melissa was never far away. She'd show up unexpectedly during their study sessions, monopolize conversations when the three of them were together, and constantly remind Monica of their shared history, a history Monica was trying to move past. One evening, as Monica waited for Matthew at their favorite cafe, her phone buzzed with a text from Christina. "Check your email." "Now!" Frowning, Monica opened her inbox to find a forwarded message from an unknown sender. As she read, her blood ran cold. It was an email chain between Melissa and Matthew, spanning weeks. In it, Melissa detailed her plan to help Matthew get close to Monica, offering insider information about her sister's insecurities and past traumas. Matthew's responses were polite but non-committal, expressing discomfort with the arrangement. But the damage was done. Monica's vision blurred with tears of rage and betrayal. She'd allowed herself to hope, to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have a relationship with her sister and find love at the same time. As Matthew walked into the cafe, his smile faded at the sight of Monica's expression. "Monica? What's wrong?" She held up her phone, her voice shaking with fury. "Care to explain this?" Matthew's face paled as he scanned the email. "Monica, I can explain dash." But Monica was already on her feet, gathering her things. "Save it. I should have known better than to trust either of you." As she stormed out of the cafe, leaving a stunned Matthew behind, Monica felt something inside her harden. The last lingering hope for reconciliation with her old life crumbled to dust. She pulled out her phone, dialing a familiar number. "Dad, can you come pick me up? I need you." As she waited for her father, Monica made a silent vow. No more second chances. No more allowing her past to dictate her future. From now on, she would forge her own path, free from the toxic influence of those who claimed to love her but only sought to control and manipulate her. The true climax of her story was yet to come, but in that moment, Monica took the first step towards reclaiming her narrative. Monica stood before the mirror, adjusting her simple white dress. Her hands trembled slightly as she smoothed out non-existent wrinkles. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, yet a shadow of sadness lingered. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Christina poked her head in, beaming. "You look absolutely stunning, girl." Monica managed a small smile. "Thanks, Chris. I just wish." Christina's expression softened. She crossed the room, taking Monica's hands in hers. "I know. But remember, the people who truly love you are here today. That's what matters." Monica nodded, blinking back tears. She'd sent invitations to her mother, Richard, and Melissa weeks ago, more out of obligation than hope. The lack of response spoke volumes. As if reading her mind, Christina squeezed her hands. "Have you heard anything?" Monica shook her head. Radio silence. "I shouldn't be surprised, but dash." Her words were cut off by the harsh ring of her phone. Monica's heart leapt to her throat as she saw the caller ID mom. With shaking fingers, she answered. "Hello." "Monica." Deborah's voice was cold, clipped. "I received your invitation." Monica held her breath, daring to hope. And a derisive laugh crackled through the line. "You can't seriously expect us to attend this farce of a wedding. Marrying a white man? Have you learned nothing?" Monica's grip on the phone tightened. "Matthew loves me for who I am, Mom. Unlike some people. Don't you dare take that tone with me," Deborah hissed. "I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? By throwing it all away." "Gave me everything?" Monica's voice rose, years of pent-up anger bubbling to the surface. "You gave me nothing but shame and self-doubt. You made me feel worthless because of the color of my skin, Mom. The same beautiful brown skin I got from you." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. When Deborah spoke again, her voice was ice. "If you go through with this, you are no longer my daughter. Do you understand me? You will be dead to me." Monica felt as if she'd been slapped. But beneath the pain, a strange sense of calm settled over her. "I understand perfectly, Mom. Goodbye." She ended the call, her hands shaking but her resolve firm. Christina, who had witnessed the entire exchange, pulled Monica into a fierce hug. "I'm so sorry, Mon, but you know what? Screw them. Today is about you and Matthew and the beautiful life you're building together." Monica nodded, straightening her shoulders. "You're right. Let's do this." The ceremony was intimate and filled with love. As Monica walked down the aisle on her father's arm, she saw nothing but joy and acceptance in the faces of their guests. Matthew's eyes shone with adoration as he took her hands in his. As they exchanged vows, Monica felt the last vestiges of her mother's toxic influence fall away. This was her family now, chosen, not given, built on love and mutual respect, not outdated prejudices and impossible standards. The reception was in full swing when Monica's phone buzzed with a text. It was from Melissa. "Congrats, sis. Wish I could have been there. Mom's on the warpath. You might want to lay low for a while." Monica showed the message to Matthew, who frowned. "Are you okay?" She considered for a moment. then nodded. You know what? I am. For the first time in my life, I feel truly free. As they swayed on the dance floor, surrounded by friends and loved ones, Monica caught sight of her father. David was beaming, his eyes misty with pride and joy. She remembered his words from years ago. Your worth isn't determined by anyone else, baby girl. You are valuable simply because you exist. In that moment, Monica knew she had finally internalized that truth. She was whole, she was worthy, and she was loved, not in spite of her skin color, but with her entire being celebrated and cherished. The next morning, as Monica and Matthew prepared to leave for their honeymoon, another text came through. This one was from an unknown number, but Monica recognized the area code. It was from her mother's neighborhood. With trepidation, she opened it. Monica, it's Richard. Your mother won't admit it, but she's devastated. Melissa's wedding is in a month. Please consider coming. For family's sake. Monica stared at the screen, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through her. Part of her wanted to delete the message and never look back. But another part, the part that still yearned for reconciliation, whispered that maybe, just maybe, this could be a chance to heal old wounds. As Matthew called from the car, urging her to hurry, Monica made a decision. She quickly typed out a response, I'll think about it. With that, she pocketed her phone and stepped out into the bright morning sun, ready to embrace her new life and whatever challenges it might bring. Monica's phone buzzed insistently, Richard's name flashing on the screen. She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the decline button. Matthew caught her eye from across the room, his expression a mixture of concern and support. You don't have to answer, he said softly. Monica took a deep breath. I know, but I think I need to. She accepted the call, her voice steady. Hello, Richard. Monica, thank God. Richard's voice was strained, panic evident in every syllable. We need your help. It's bad. As Richard explained the situation, Monica felt a strange sense of déjà vu. The stock market crash had wiped out their investments. Richard's company was under investigation for fraud. Melissa's lavish lifestyle had drained their remaining resources. They were facing bankruptcy, possible jail time for Richard, and the loss of everything they'd built. We have nowhere else to turn, Richard pleaded. You're our only hope. Monica closed her eyes, memories flooding back. The years of emotional abuse, the constant comparisons, the rejection, and then her mother's final, cruel words on her wedding day. I'm sorry, Richard, Monica said, her voice firm, but I can't help you. What? But we're family. Richard's tone turned desperate. After everything we've done for you, Dash. Monica cut him off. Everything you've done for me? You mean the years of making me feel worthless because of my skin color? The constant reminders that I didn't belong? That family? There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. Monica, please. Your mother, she's not well. She needs you. For a moment, Monica's resolve wavered. But then she caught sight of the framed photo on her desk. Her wedding day, surrounded by her chosen family. Her father, beaming with pride. Christina, laughing joyously. Matthew, looking at her with pure love. I'm sorry, Monica said, her voice softening slightly. But I can't be the solution to problems I didn't create. I hope you find the help you need, but it won't be from me. She ended the call, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. Matthew crossed the room, enveloping her in a warm embrace. You okay? He murmured into her hair. Monica nodded, surprised to find that she truly was. Yeah, I think I'm finally free. The next day, as Monica and Matthew enjoyed a quiet breakfast, there was a knock at the door. Monica opened it to find her father standing there, a tentative smile on his face. Dad, what are you doing here? David's eyes crinkled with warmth. Can a father visit his daughter? I heard about what happened with Richard and your mother. Monica tensed, but David held up a hand. I'm proud of you, baby girl. You stood your ground. You chose yourself. Tears welled in Monica's eyes as she pulled her father into a tight hug. Thank you, Dad, for everything. As they settled in the living room, David cleared his throat. There's something else. I've been thinking maybe it's time I try to reconnect with your mother. Monica's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Are you sure? After everything she's done? David nodded slowly. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but maybe she needs someone to show her a different way, to help her see the beauty in all shades of us. Monica considered this, a mix of emotions swirling within her. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Dad. And that's okay, David assured her. You focus on your life, your happiness. Let me handle this part. As David left, Monica felt a sense of peace settle over her. She might never have the relationship she once yearned for with her mother and sister, but she had built something beautiful and strong in its place. That evening, as she and Matthew took a walk in their neighborhood, hand in hand, Monica paused to watch the sunset. The sky was ablaze with colors, deep purples, vibrant oranges, soft pinks, all blending together in a breathtaking display. It's beautiful, Matthew murmured, squeezing her hand. Monica nodded, a smile playing on her lips. It is. And you know what? Every shade, every color, they're all equally important, equally beautiful. As they continued their walk, Monica felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. She had weathered the storms of her past, faced her demons, and emerged stronger. She had found love, not just with Matthew, but with herself. The road ahead was uncertain, but Monica was ready to face it. She had learned that family wasn't always about blood. It was about love, acceptance, and choosing to see the beauty in every shade of life. As the last rays of sunlight painted the sky, Monica looked to the future with hope and determination. Her story wasn't ending, it was just beginning. And this time, she was the author of her own narrative, free to paint it in whatever color she chose.